Hey YouTube, just a quick video here about my thoughts on Airtites. Um, I know whether you're a new stacker or an old stacker, you might have questions about Airtites. I know I kind of went back and forth throughout my stacking time and deciding when to buy Airtites and when not. So here's just some of my thoughts based on my own experiences. The first thing I want to talk about is Airtites for gold. To me, that's kind of a easy decision in my opinion. Especially, I mean, this is a 1 ounce gold piece, so the spot value right now, if it's around $1,300. So to me, buying a $1 airtight for it is a good investment. Especially gold is so soft. If it's something that's, these aren't as bad because they've got other metals in there. But if it's like a 999 or 49 gold piece, it's going to be soft. So why risk? You could basically run your fingernail along it and scrape gold off of it. So why risk losing it or damaging it if it's that big of an investment over a cheap airtight? So to me, airtights for gold makes sense. I've got most of my gold, anything I can find an airtight for, I've got an airtight for it if it's gold. Because to me, that's, the percentage of the investment is so small for the airtight that it makes sense. The other time I will get airtights is if it's something that's semi-numismatic. This is a kookaburra, so at some point probably I will sell this online. It's not something I'm just going to take to my local coin shop and try to get spot for. It's something that'll have a premium probably. I've got some lunar coins there in airtights, because if you're going to try to resell it, you want to keep it in good condition. Especially if it's anything that's semi-numismatic. A collector's not going to want one that's been beat. It's got fingerprints and milk spots all over it, and they're just not. They're going to want something if it's in an airtight, especially the original airtight. When it was brand new and you got it right in an airtight, then I think that's the dollar or whatever you spent on the airtight, you'll get more than that back in the premium if it's in good shape. If it's something that's semi-numismatic, if I go to sell this in 5 years, and maybe I get, who knows, maybe I get $10 more than what spot is at that time. That's worth it to me than to pay the extra dollar for the airtight. Whereas if I had one that's just beat, maybe I get $5 over spot for it, but in that case I'm losing $4, right? So if it's a semi-numismatic, put it in an airtight. And especially these airtights, if they're for 1 ounce coins, buy them in bulk. Buy a thing of 25 of them, and then they end up being pretty cheap. Don't buy them one at a time is my other thought. Local coin shops will sell them for $1 or $1.50 for one airtight, which is crazy. You can get 25 of them for, $8 or whatever on eBay. So I'd buy them in bulk if you're going to get airtights, and I'd use them on semi-numismatic stuff. Okay. My next thought, this one here, you're going, what is he talking about? Because this one here is just a cheapo generic that's in an airtight, but I'll tell you why in a second. I would not put generic in airtights. This is one that I got from my local coin shop, and it was he was selling it for melt, something he's just trying to get rid of, and it was in there in an airtight. Somebody brought it in, obviously in an airtight. He was selling it for melt within the airtight. I even said to him, "You're charging $1 for these airtights. You're only selling this for spot." And he wanted rid of it. He didn't care about the airtight. So this was basically a free airtight. So if anytime you get them for free, why not? It's better than not having one. You could always switch it over to a nicer coin if you wanted to. But most of my generic rounds I just store in tubes because they're cheap. And if all you're trying to get out of it is spot, then it doesn't need an airtight, because when you go to take it back, they want it for the silver. So if it's something that's generic, that's boring like this, or buffaloes or whatever, you don't need to put them in airtights, because all you're trying to get out of is spot. There's no semi-numismatic value. You don't have to worry about condition as much. So to me, I wouldn't put everything in airtights. Some people, you look at their stacks and every single thing they have is in airtights. To me, that's kind of a waste of money. And if sometimes the margins on these are small, if you're invested in your stack, if you have 100, let's say you have 1,000 ounces, and your dollar cost average was $20, or whatever, then you're 20,000 in. And if you're trying to make money on that, and on those 1,000 ounces, you bought 1,000 airtights at $1 a piece from your local coin shop, then that's another $1,000 that you have to make up when you go to sell it. So if it's generic, I wouldn't worry about it, unless you can get one for free like I did here. But if it's generic, if it's stuff that you're going to sell back to your local coin shop, and you don't care about all you want to get out of its spot, then you don't need an airtight, in my opinion. If it's something that's semi-numismatic, put it in an airtight, because if you're going to sell it some other way, like eBay or whatever, then you're going to want it to be in the best condition it can be in. But also keep in mind, if you're buying semi-numismatics, don't think you're going to take it to your local coin shop and you're going to get the true value for it, because they're going to give you a spot for it. So if you're getting semi-numismatics, I would get the airtights, but understand you're probably going to have to sell those on eBay or somewhere else to get fair value for them. Okay, and then gold, just to recap, I would always put gold in airtights because it's such a small percentage. A dollar airtight to protect a $1,300 investment, to me, is a wise decision. Even fractional stuff, I put in airtights, and again, I usually buy them in bulk because it's cheaper. But anyway, guys, some of my thoughts on airtights. I'm curious what you guys think. The last point I'll mention here too is I don't think I've ever paid for a tube of things. I usually, if I go to my local coin shop, and I get enough stuff, I ask him, you got any tubes around there you can throw them in, and he'll throw them in a tube for me. So I've got lots of tubes for generic that I've got just when I've bought enough stuff at my local coin shop of generics. A lot of times local coin shops, I think, will do that. So I don't think I've paid for any of the tubes that I have. So anyway, just kind of some of my thoughts on airtights, guys, and storing your stuff, and what I think makes the most sense. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Take care. God bless.